Hello, dear friends. With us is the Kabbalist, Dr. Michael Lightman. Hello. Secrets of the Eternal Book, Prophets, Yehoshua bin Nun. We're talking about the conquering of the land of Israel. The Israelites reached their dream. They're entering the land of Israel, and they conquer city by city, king by king. And the 5 main kings were defeated. We talked about this on our previous chapter. But there are still many kings and places left that needs to be conquered, meaning many more egoistic desires inside the person, inside of me, that need to be conquered. What does it mean to conquer? Dr. Lightman, to want to defeat these egoistic desires and to direct them toward the intention to bestow to the Creator, to unite everyone, everything above the ego. This is what it means to defeat these lands, nations, conquer them, these egoistic desires and nations, which are one and the same that exist inside of us, to direct them all, unite them and direct them toward the same goal of mutual connection, love, mutuality. This is actually defeat. Simeon, why is it possible only on this land, Dr. Lightman? It's the egoism. It's inside the egoism itself. Simeon, so it's based on this land as if. In the meantime, it's called the land of Canaan, but later on, Dr. Lightman, until it will pour with milk and honey. Simeon, okay, so these 5 kings were defeated, and there are many others left, kings of Shomron, around the Kinneret, around Mount Hermon, and again they unite, and again they go against Israel, even though that Israel are defeating. Dr. Lightman, wave after wave. These go here, those go there, etc., etc. It's like waves. Forward, backwards. Simeon, it says here, why were they not frightened? They could have been frightened. You see a strong army. Dr. Lightman, no, the Creator's behind them. What is there to be afraid about? Simeon, exactly. And the Creator said unto Joshua, be not afraid of them, for tomorrow at this time I will deliver them up, all slain before Israel. You shall cripple their horses and burn their chariots with fire. And this is how it was. And the question is, if on the way to spirituality, the egoistic desires are attacking us, what does it mean that they're on horses, on chariots? Dr. Lightman, with all their might, meaning they are such that the entire egoism, with all of its possibilities and options, goes against connection, against working toward bestowal and love. And here, of course, there's a very hard battle. You can't defeat everything at once. The nation of Israel is growing weaker. They're starting to complain here, there. Simeon, well, it's not happening now, Dr. Lightman, but in the future, it can't be without that, because otherwise, what kind of battle is that? A battle has to be also for the revelation of one's own negative qualities, and not only the external, but also the internal ones, Simeon, and that's actually the main thing. Dr. Lightman, yeah, and that's how they advance. Simeon, is it possible to say that the egoistic desires are attacking myself, you, man? Or we can say that they're on horses and chariots, Dr. Lightman, with the help of all possible weapons of the ego that tempts a person, showing him how sweet it is to live in the egoistic desires, luring him to be connected by even egoistic competitions and everything. Simeon, so this is an egoistic desire that very much lures, attracts. That this is what really attacks. That's good. What does it mean then to cripple their horses and destroy their chariots? Dr. Leitman, meaning do not give them any option to head toward you. Simeon, to bribe you. Dr. Leitman, right. You need to defend yourself. If you can't deal with them, you have to do everything that you can in order to take away all the means that they have to battle you. And it's a big problem. Simeon, I think I'm given this strong egoistic desire and I'd be bribed by it. Dr. Leitman, only forward. You couldn't have done anything. You would have done everything in order to realize it. Simeon, and the Creator says you need to burn their chariots. Dr. Leitman, the Creator, he's weak here. Because the entire problem is that we ourselves have reached a point where it is necessary for us to do this, that we have to. Simeon, but the Israelis, they're strong. They burned the chariots, they crippled the horses, meaning the horses aren't that fast anymore, meaning they kind of stop or slow down the ego. Dr. Leitman, it's not all that important during one defeat, but later on, where the ego, it works in many directions, and it's very cunning. So, Simeon, so if it's defeat after defeat, then it already becomes Dr. Leitman. The thing is that defeats are good, but, eventually turns out that you are defeated, that the entire nation is in deterioration. Simeon, why, Dr. Leitman? Because the ego is our nature, that even though that it seems to us that we're winning, but it's only external. It's an external defeat. And what to do in order to truly bring the nation to unite between themselves and with the Creator? For this, you have to fight the Creator Himself, Simeon, because He's doing it all, weakening and strengthening, meaning you have to ask Him. Dr. Leitman, what does it say about Jacob? You've fought the kings and the Creator, and you've won. Meaning to convince the Creator, to force Him to help you to remake yourself. Simeon, after all of your constant efforts, when you understand that you're forceless, powerless, Dr. Leitman, yeah? Naturally. Simeon, Joshua, he fought these kings for a long time. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel. Can you imagine? Even though that they defeated everywhere. Besides the inhabitants of Givon, as we said, and it was from the Lord to harden their hearts against Israel in battle, that they might destroy them completely and that they might have no favor, that they might destroy them as the Lord has commanded Moses. As he says, I've burdened Pharaoh's heart, and so on. So it's the same picture. The Creator hardens the hearts of the kings against Israel, the egoistic desires, and tells Israel, go conquer them. Dr. Leitman, I prepared them. Simeon, it's not that I weakened them, go conquer, but I've hardened them. So, Dr. Leitman, these are our inner desires. We need to cover them all with the intention for the sake of the Creator, to the benefit of the Creator. We need to invert them all from reception into bestowal. Not by our actions, by our intentions. That's the problem. And, if we're talking about an intention, you don't know how much work you have left to do. Are you acting correctly or not? It just has to be simply completely from yourself outwards. And when the Creator tells you who to go against, you have no choice. Simeon, he also tells those egoistic desires, get up and fight Israel. He tells those, fight them, and these fight those. He collides me with my desires. Dr. Laitman, yeah, good. Simeon, is that help? Dr. Laitman, the Creator's help is in that you're defeated and that in your downfall you discover your weakness, complete helplessness, weakness, and you can ask. Simeon, this is an iron rule by which the Creator acts, Dr. Laitman. Of course, otherwise what? You don't have to defeat anything besides your own ego. And therefore, this is how it happens. Meaning, Simeon, the entire work is to weaken me, bring me to helplessness, despair of my own abilities, Dr. Laitman, not you, but your ego. Simeon, you're dividing between me and my ego all the time, separating us, Dr. Laitman. Of course, because my sense of self is my intention, my I. What do I want to achieve? And my nature, my desire, it's egoistic. And therefore, all the time there's this duality that appears in me, Simeon. So what in me is an alien, not me, Dr. Laitman. Not me is the intention in order to bestow, to love, to connect with others. That which sometimes awakens in me, which subconsciously gives me no rest. This is not mine. This is the Creator's help from above. Simeon, this is what I'm asking for. Dr. Laitman, yes, even though that to ask, I myself don't ask. The Creator awakens this in me. And from this I receive, for that I receive help in different forms, and help can be in favor or against. Simeon, so the help is against in this case, where the egoistic desires are heated up, telling them go against Israel. Dr. Laitman, it's the same like going to Pharaoh because I have burdened his heart. I heated him against you, and he's ready. Go to him, please. Simeon, this is logically, when you think about it, Dr. Laitman, yeah, better do without that help. Simeon, one more question. You're all the time saying, let's now tune into the right intention and advance together, study together. What exactly are you talking about? What intention can a person have? Dr. Laitman, that in the connection between them, the friends can generate such a quality that will reveal the Creator, and then they will fight with the help of that quality. Simeon, can we awaken that intention in us? Dr. Laitman, we have to try. Simeon, so there's no correct intention in corporeality in a person, and there can't be. And the entire task is to ask, and really you don't even know what you're asking for. Dr. Laitman, right? Simeon, very, very interesting answer and a constant question. So, what turns out that the kings of Israel have no freedom of choice whatsoever. Dr. Laitman, no, Israel has freedom of choice in that they can strengthen their connection all the time. Simeon, it is in their ability, Dr. Laitman, against their ego, and will understand that they can't do anything but ask the Creator. Simeon, okay, that's clear. Simeon, that's freedom of choice. Simeon, and Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had spoken to Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance to Israel according to their division by their tribes, and the land rested from war. Dr. Laitman, the intention for love for the Creator covered all the desires, meaning the entire land. Land comes from the word ratzon, desire in Hebrew, and therefore everything came down. In the meantime, Simeon, but the entire land is not conquered yet. The chapter always ends this way, and then again begins a war after things came down. Dr. Laitman, of course, because it is all revealed gradually on different egoistic levels. Simeon, It says here that they were divided, that the land was divided by their tribes. When the land is divided by their tribes, meaning the egoistic desire is divided by the tribes of Israel, it's divided by what? To a more egoistic part, a stronger tribe? What exactly? Dr. Lightman, the thing is that the ego consists of 4 levels of yut, of heaviness, of its heaviness. And in the spiritual work, it works in 3 lines. And therefore, what happens is that Simeon 4 times 3, 12, Dr. Leitman. Yeah, and accordingly, the land is divided and the nation into 12 tribes, etc. Simeon, but which part belongs to what clan? What tribe? Dr. Leitman, according to that tribe. Simeon, what tribe should it be in order to have the most egoistic land? Dr. Leitman, it's the tribe of the king. Simeon, what is that, Dr. Leitman? Tremendous ego. Tremendous ego. Meaning, before you, there is the ego that is divided into 12 parts on different levels, and each of these levels, degrees, is now given a certain quality. From it appears, it exists there, but now appears a certain quality in each of those tribes. And this means that each tribe takes its place on earth, on the land, that it inhabits it. Simeon, so the less egoistic desires were those that remained beyond the Jordan, the 2 tribes that already took their land before the land of Israel, before they entered Canaan. Dr. Leitman, but people understood all of this. There was no need to explain these things. It was pretty clear to that mass that entered the borders of Israel. It was clear to them how they have to divide the land. Simeon. It also says beautifully, and the land rested from war. What is that? For you, Dr. Leitman, that every desire came to the understanding of, with the help of which inner work inside itself, can it be correctly directed toward the Creator. And there were no problems in dividing these desires. People clearly understood what exists in them, just like a person in this case understands what desires, inclinations, intentions exist in him, and that's it. Simeon, so this means that they rest from war. Okay, this completes the 11th chapter, and coming up is the 12th chapter of the book of Yoshua ben Nun. Israel is winning with victory after victory, defeating the kings, and in the 12th chapter there's a long list of all the kings that the sons of Israel have defeated. And then the conclusion is as follows. It's like a shopping list or something. The king of Jericho won, like a stationary list. The king of Ai won. The king of Jerusalem won. The king of Hebron won. The king of Jarmuth won. The king of Lachish won. Until we come to all the kings, 31. And that's it. This completes the 12th chapter. It's one of the shortest. Why do we need to go over these numbers if we're talking about our egoistic desire? Why does it say one? Dr. Leitman, what do you want for the Torah to tell you about? Their travels, love, outer space, what? Simeon, one king, the king of Jerusalem, one. And all in all, 31. The number, or one, what does it mean? One desire, one desire. Dr. Leitman is just going over those desires that exist in one common desire that's called the land of Israel. This is what is discovered. From what I understand, there's a deep inner meaning to this, but from what I don't understand, there's an even deeper meaning. Okay, I understand. So, this enormous amount of names and places, Dr. Latham, it all has its own meaning, really. Because when a person goes through all these things, he starts feeling that which exists in him. Because every person, he is a miniature copy of Israel. Simeon, every person on earth, Dr. Latham, everyone. Simeon, and it says one, one, one. It's like it fits inside a person, and these 31, they connect. For example, Dr. Latham, well, there are many more, but yeah, Simeon, the number one really interested me, that it's one. I understand that he's one. One, the king of Jerusalem, one. The king of Ai, one. Dr. Latham, yeah, counting them, Simeon, it's very cold, Dr. Latham. That's how it's supposed to be. Simeon. Okay, now we have short chapters. 13th chapter begins as follows. Joshua, he grew old. The Creator told him, you grew old, and the land, there's still much to conquer. So what does it mean for a leader of a nation, for the desire to bestow? Dr. Latham, no strength. Meaning that degree has exhausted itself. And what is the next one? Meaning he can no longer be the ruler of those desires that now have to become revealed. And that's it. So you need the next one. Simeon, so what does it mean that they're powerless, Dr. Latham, powerless of dealing with those desires that are becoming revealed in the land of Israel? And so he can't take Moses' place, the way he, behaved all these years, that he conquered whatever he could, all of these egoistic desires, inverting them into altruistic ones. And that's it. He can't go any forward. Simeon, this is a subjective feeling of a person that there are desires ahead that he can't. Dr. Latham, he understands himself. He understands what is going on inside of him and what's ahead, and sees that it's not up to him, that it's old, that it's not in his ability, that he's old, that it's not his work to do. Simeon, so the work needs to continue. Dr. Latham, yeah, but there has to be the next generation, and this way, generation after generation. We're not talking about replacing the person, but replacing the system. How to keep advancing. Suppose, up until now, we worked on the desires on level 1. Now we're moving to desires from level number 2. And he doesn't know how to work with it. It's not in his nature. Simeon, and this is what it means that he grew old. Dr. Latham, yeah, that he's unfit for it. Simeon, it's like in life, we fight for our place. We fight to remain the leader, ruler. You know how people are. Dr. Latham, and then we grow old and we leave it. And we pass it on to our children, Dr. Latham. For example, Simeon, so here the decision is that I have to pass it on to others. This is a clear understanding that I have to give it, hand it over to others. And then there are the remaining lands that are there's a list of the remaining lands, with very clear boundaries, with very clear names. For example, Pugu, the entire land, Canaan with the cave, the Feki up until the Amorites, all of Lebanon up to sundown, and Hermon up to the entrance into Hamat, and more and more. And then the Creator says, all the inhabitants from Lebanon, Misrefet, Maima, all those from Sidon, you only have to do what you have to do, and they will do what's necessary. What does it mean not to destroy desires, but to banish them? Dr. Lakeman. To banish means the desire, because you're working only with the desire, with the intention here. The desires, they remain. You can't destroy them in any way. Simeon, there are desires to receive pleasure. Dr. Lakeman. Yeah, they're the desires, and you have to change their intention. So this is the work, that's it. Simeon, to destroy, it means not to use. Dr. Lakeman, if I stop working with a certain egoistic intention, then that desire dies out. And then I begin to bring it back to life, to work with it and bestow. Simeon, but is there a difference between destroying and banishing, because they're banished from their places? Dr. Lakeman, of course. Simeon, and what is that? If you don't destroy but banish? Dr. Lakeman, this desire has nothing to rule over. There's the intention and the desire. So on the one hand, the desire is banished, so it doesn't feel what can it govern over. It's the desire. On the other hand, there's the intention, where I completely exclude it. So it's much more serious. Simeon, so when we're talking about banishing, then the desire, it's how exactly is it? Simeon, to banish means to get rid of the desire itself, so that there will be no connection between the egoistic intention and the desire, and then the desire remains completely in a sort of amorphous form hanging in the air, and the egoistic intention disappears, goes someplace. And there's also where the intention is corrected. Simeon, that means to destroy. Dr. Lakeman, the intention, yes, and then you can once again work with the desire. It means the complete and correct conquering of the land. Simeon, so the main work here is to get rid of the intention. Dr. Lakeman, that's the first stage. Simeon, we have a bit left. Then it says that, there's one more thing. What does it mean that it says that you only give Israel, that you tempt them somehow? What does it mean? Dr. Lakeman, I don't know if I can explain this. The thing is that everything is predetermined, and all the future picture is known in advance. Everything down to the last detail and in all of its states is already known, according to the axis of time and everything. But the thing is that all the tribes have to agree to this internally. They have to understand the division. They have to understand the connection between them. On the other hand, they have to understand that it comes from the Creator, and only this way do they, Simeon, they can lay on this desire. And so here it's like that it's not up to them, that I agree or disagree, I have to do what I have to do, and that's it. What's more complicated? To agree or, go against Dr. Lakeman? To agree, because, otherwise it comes from above. You wanna, you don't wanna, you agree. But when you yourself do this, then that's serious work. So in the meantime, this is how it is. And then it says exactly what land, says Simeon. There it says that it's necessary for Joshua to divide this land into 9.5 tribes, and now divide this land into 9 tribes and half of our tribe. And it says exactly which land and what are the borders, the boundaries. Only the tribe of Levi was not given their part, their land as if. What is this desire in us, Levi, that their work is only to sacrifice to the Creator? Dr. Lightman, it's the quality of Binah in us. And therefore, here, you can't do anything. They have to be the servants of the Creator, holy servants, the Levites. Simeon, meaning having no land of their own. Dr. Lightman, pure bestow. Pure bestow. They have nothing of their own. Absolutely nothing. Meaning, on the one hand, it's like easier work because you have no desires that you have to work on. And on the other hand, this is the only thing that you're in, and all the tribes, all the mass is under you. The nation, you have to serve them. You have to convey to them the quality of bestow. Simeon, meaning I live only for them, not for myself at all. Dr. Leitman, the Levites have there's no such reality for them. And for the Cohens, it's to bestow altogether. Simeon, so the Levites, they're like in the air, kind of. Well, okay. Later on, we're talking about in this chapter about the 2.5 tribes and where do they go, and this is the end of the chapter. Thank you very much. It was great.